The person I've become today is a combination of all my different life experiences. However, this was all influenced by two people: my parents, stimulations of their beliefs, which have been passed over onto me and created my beliefs and my values revolving my experiences with social institutions. Garza, in the sixth reading, described this experience perfectly in the Where I Am From, where she states, my place, my time, and conditions powerfully shaped how I see the world and how I've come to think of change. However, because I immigrated to my America with my family at such a young age, I was able to clearly see the gendered ideologies that were rooted within my own parents' principles, especially when it became to choose my own education and my own career. In the New York Times article, Because I Was a Girl, by Mary Jo Murphy and Sophia Patel, women around the world share different experiences in which they were denied, disregarded, and shamed in the home and workplace solely due because of their gender identity. Gender identity is defined by oneself. It identifies male, female, or transgender. Today I wanted to dive into the particulars of how my parents' social institutional history has affected my experiences with different gender institutions in my life that have stuck with me even throughout childhood. As Garza stated, my parents shape how I see the world, and I would like to start off with some information about my father. My father grew up in a poor village in Sudan with 21 other siblings. Within his household, all the women cooked and cleaned, while the men were raised to be the breadwinners of the family. This trend continued even after he met my mom. He was allowed to explore the world, find new interests, and leave his home at the age of 18. My mother was the complete opposite of my father. She grew up very wealthy in household Sudan, and she was raised to become a good wife. She had experienced the woman in the New York Times article after she expressed her interest in higher education, but she was shut down immediately and told to refocus on her family by her own father, who was a teacher. Both of my parents were raised in a culturalist mindset, truly believing that if they did not have those social institutions, that they would have nothing. Culturalism can be defined by the idea that we are all blank slates who become purely through learning and socialization only. My parents were successful in their hopes of creating a nuclear family, or a monogamous mother and father with children who lived together without extended family. However, circumstances changed as time went on. Both Garza and the New York Times imply our thoughts and reactions to change our circumstances of our own environment. As my grandma was added to my own environment, I realized the influence of a person's judgment can affect one's mental state. In Frida Kahlo's New York Times article, where she stated she was a STEM double major, people often questioned her intentions and undermined her intelligence. With new changes in environment and different personalities, it brings forth the debate of how a child can be affected by nature or nurture. The nature and nurture debate is an argument between people who have observed differences between men and women that are biological, or those who believe the differences are acquired through socialization. But it wasn't just my parents who helped me create into the gendered person that I am today. I grew up in a very strict Muslim household, and the behaviors and patterns of those in my community encouraged sex-based roles and behaviors. I took those actions and attitudes around me and adopted them. Therefore, many women in my religious community often discourage education, and they told me that my version of normal was becoming my own sex role. They encouraged me to adapt more womanly qualities and always depend on the man, so I saw the world through a more narrow lens. My mother actually decided to go against her culture norms halfway through my childhood. It was a very big shift and it was a very big change. She decided to go to school and pursue her passion and profession, and her attitude began to change as we were raised through different economic brackets after my father had gotten a stable job. I viewed change as something that could only happen through financial stability. That way, the people could only have an education if they were able to support themselves. So I began working at the age of 14 because I believed the opportunities only came to women who had money and financial support. Most of the women in the article either already had a job or were in college, so therefore they already had the financial funds to start. And even though they were discouraged by the people who told them no, they still had the financial funds to back them up. As a black woman, I had to create space for myself. So, although gendered institutions can be negatively affected by all women, it mainly affects women of color. Still, white women have some sort of privilege in their ability to say no. There are many women, such as myself, who are people of color, who don't even have the privilege to say no. So, growing up in a predominantly white and Asian community, I was able to see the privileges that I do not have. And I was obviously constantly trying to make up for what I didn't have that I saw other people in my community have. The privileges that come with being a white or the perfect minority. So, privilege to go against because I said no or because I was told to is a privilege within itself, specifically reserved for white women. White women have the ability to say no and fight against it. Black women do not. So basically, I just wanted to conclude everything by saying my parents' past relationships and experiences with social institutions reinforced gender roles for me and my siblings. We were able to go through many different experiences because of it, though. Thank you.